set up right, as always, is a big challenge. But hello, everybody, and welcome to my channel. I am rearranging my hair just for you. I know it's been a minute or a year, so let's get started. So in this episode, I was challenged by a very, very beautiful follower on Instagram. She's gorgeous. Can't give you her name because I didn't ask if I could put this out there. But let me just read what it says. I posted about, I'm trying to remember what the post was because it's been a minute. Right, I had posted, I don't think you'll be able to see this. Let me try. So I have this mug that my executive assistant got me. It says this meeting could have been an email in Swahili. I don't even understand most of this, but I could make it out. And the reason she sent me this mug for Christmas is because I'm always, I think I used to say it a lot when she's trying to schedule my calls. I'd be like, should this be a meeting or an email? And after that, I'd always say, that could have been an email. But yeah, so I think I posted this, and I had posted a few other things about work that week. So she then sent me a question saying, let me be formal because I'm about to ask a serious question. I'm generally very chill with my Instagram people, so I think this was her trying to center herself into asking a serious question. So she says, let me be formal now because I'm about to ask a serious question. Hi, I'm assuming you have worked to get a high performance work team. I'd like to hear from you on how you did that. I definitely want to be a relatable leader, but not borderline too familiar. But would definitely appreciate hearing it from your point of view. Thank you. So, the question is, she wants to be a relatable leader, but not borderline too familiar, which is a very, very good question, and a question I always think about in terms of my own leadership style. So for those of you who don't know about me, a bit of background, and maybe I should just do a whole video that's about my career story. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll do it. If you say yes, I think I will. Whether you say yes or not, I think I will. Because guess what? I can do anything I want on this channel. I digress. In summary, I am a C-level executive in a large nonprofit that's in 55 countries on 6 continents, all before the age of 40, yada, 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 yada. You know that spiel. So I guess I can say I have grown in my leadership journey from the time I started working before, I think I was 19 when I started working. Yes. So anyway, I'll tell that story in another video. Let me focus for this one. So the question is how to be a leader that's relatable. And I'm assuming that's because she finds me relatable while not being too familiar. I can tell you it's a struggle. It's a constant struggle between remembering to stay humble and that you're also just one of everybody that's working in the organization, even if it's your organization, or even if you're the C-suite executive that's making all the decisions, handling all the budgets, calling all the shots, you're still there to deliver, just the same way somebody at a lower grade, rank, or whatever you call it in your company is. So for me, there is very little differentiation between, oh, I'm the chief technology officer, and oh yeah, the data entry clerk that started last week. Everybody was hired to do a job. If they didn't have a data entry clerk, I don't think I'll be doing that job. I don't want to do that job. I probably won't even be good at it. So everybody has to respect everybody else. That's the starting point. But specifically to the question on drawing the line between being too familiar and being relatable, that is a huge risk. When you're at work and you want to be one of the team, there tend to be some people that start to think you're friends. But one thing you have to do is, first of all, make it clear. Make it clear that you're calling the shots when you need to. Make it clear that even if we can be friends, even if we can hang out in the pub, even if we can have lunch together, even if we can gossip about, I don't know, what is this thing that Mikhala watches a lot? Bachelorette. I have no idea because I don't watch it. But even if we gossip about those things, when it's crunch time and it comes to work, I will make the decisions, whether you like them, whether you dislike them, whether they disadvantage you, whether they advantage you, as long as they're the right decisions. Because at the end of the day, as a manager, as a leader, you are paid, or you're paying yourself to make those decisions. But talking about decisions, one of the things I've found about leadership is you have to be willing to share power. You have to trust the people you have on your team. If you can't trust them to deliver, you can't trust them to make the right decisions, fire them. Let them go if you can't. Before you let them go though, however, you need to try and build their capacity, which I'll get to in another point. I think I'm jumping up and down. Allow me to pause for a second, write down my thoughts a bit so I can come back and be a bit more organized. Okay. Because I am speaking mostly from the top of my head, even the organized notes won't be very organized, but one of the first things I wrote is do not micromanage. Do not micromanage if you can help it. Always think back to when you had a boss, if you've ever had a boss, or when you had somebody that was constantly on your neck, not trusting the work you're doing. Nobody likes being micromanaged. I'm yet to meet somebody. What you will find though is that people have different styles, and that's something I'm still working on. So you have to understand the styles of your team. You have to understand the people that like a lot of detail, the people that like a lot of freedom, the people that don't know what they like, and the people who it depends on the task. So let me put some color to that. What I've found is we all come with different personalities, different backgrounds, different styles. I, for example, am somebody who is a situational person. Sometimes I want a lot of detail. I want to know what's happening. I want to know why it's happening. I want to especially if it's a high risk project, I generally tend to group my projects into levels of risk. So if it's there's a human risk element, there's a financial risk element, there's a reputational risk element for the organization. If it's one of those types of projects, then I tend to want a lot of detail. But on general days, I don't want a lot of detail. So for example, when I started in this organization I'm in now, the first thing everybody did was give me a lot of documents. And I told them, I will never read them. I will never read them. So some of my team have now figured out, you send me a video, a very short video, telling me what it is, why we need to do it, and what your ask of me is. And I'll very quickly entrust the decision to you if it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, I will ask all the questions that I'm unclear on. And I will read your document if I must, but I prefer not to have a lot of detail because I believe I have a very, very competent team so they can make those decisions. I just need to be informed and I need to be aware. That's my style. I have people on my team who, because that's my style, when I exercise the same style and give them a lot of control, they then struggle. They are stressed. I've had somebody on my team once tell me that gives them anxiety. Because then they start asking, am I doing what she wants me to do? Am I not? Is this right? Is it not? So you have to understand your team styles. And if you can't, you have very good facilitators, you have very good trainers, leadership coaches who can come and help you figure out your team dynamics and understand this person needs more guidance, this person needs more detail, this person needs more freedom, otherwise they'll feel constricted. So don't micromanage, but understand the styles and give detail accordingly. Trust your team to deliver because that's why you've hired them. Coach the ones that are not delivering to your expectations, and even the ones delivering to your expectations, coach them so that they can exceed your expectation and perhaps one day take over your job, which should always be your objective, to work yourself out of that job. What else did I write down? Understanding fears and hopes. This is something I learned maybe 8 years ago now, 9, I don't know. But I learned it and it made a very big difference in how I do work. I feel like it might be a different episode from this, but I'll throw it in. Since we're here, you're here, I'm here. Let's just throw it in. Understanding fears and hopes really helps you at work, and it really helps your life. What this is talking about is examining your stakeholders, your important stakeholders, and literally sitting down and figuring out, putting yourself in their shoes and asking, what is this person's hopes? What is this person's fears? So for example, if I'm in an organization of any kind, the chief financial officer or the finance director's biggest fear is, I don't know, auditors finding something wrong with the receipts, or it's us not making a profit. If I understand that those are that person's fears, then when I'm going to present anything to them, I'm listening to myself and I realize I've gone off topic, but I will continue since we're here anyway. I know all this sounds like I'm digressing, but I'm building up to, for you to have a level of familiarity with your team, but for them to respect you to the point of not becoming too familiar, is you have to show them leadership. That way, even if you're joking around, you're having a good time, they will still know that you're a leader. They'll still respect you. They'll still respect your judgment. So that's why I'm going around in all these circles of, don't micromanage, understand their styles, make sure you coach them. And also, like I said earlier, when I talked about nobody likes being micromanaged, remember where you came from. Nobody was born a boss. Nobody. So try and see it from their point of view. Try and walk in their shoes all the time. And the goal of a leader should be, my opinion, should be twofold. Number one is to serve. This is very much neglected, especially in corporate, actually anywhere. It's very much neglected in the capitalist world we live in. A boss is supposed to be the boss and everybody else follows. If you practice something called servant leadership, you're supposed to serve the people that you're working with. You can look up servant leadership and I think it will really be helpful. The second goal of the leader, in my view, is to either increase profits for the organization, for the company, to optimize operations in order to reduce costs. You get the picture. It's to be serving the organization in a way that makes sure that, they're delivering at the least cost possible and therefore making the best use of resources that they have. In terms of, I think at the start I had talked about, before I wrote my notes down, I had talked about sharing power. Sharing power does not mean shirking your responsibility as a leader. It means you trust your people to make the decisions they need to make, but when you have to make a decision, you will take the decision as the leader. You have to be ready to make the tough calls. You have to be ready to make the tough decisions. You have to be able to steer or guide if one of your staff can't make the decision. And also you have to protect your team. So they have to feel safe. They have to feel safe to fail. If the failure is not, is not intentional, the word genuinely in the best interest, and they failed, your job is to protect them. So you trust them to make the decision, but they should know this person has my back. If this goes south, they will defend me because they know it was in my best interest. In the same vein, like I said, you should be able to take tough decisions such as letting somebody go. If you've tried to coach them, you've tried to develop them, but they're not self-reflective, they never make a change, you as a leader should find a way to either transition them to another team where their skills will be more relevant, or have a tough conversation. Let them go to another organization where maybe they're a better fit. Everybody can fit somewhere. It doesn't have to be on your team, but it's your job to make sure that you've done everything you can before you surrender them to their rightful place. Too familiar. I'm trying to think what else makes you relatable. I don't know if I'm a relatable boss, honestly. I don't know. I'd have to ask. I've been relatable to some, but not to everybody. Because my other thing at work is I'm not here to be liked. We will respect each other. We don't have to like each other. But one of my values as well as a leader is kindness. So even if I'm letting you go, I will try my best to be kind. If I'm letting you go because of, generic things. If I'm letting you go because of integrity issues or bad behavior or whatever, then, we'll have a conversation. But if it's a case of underperformance, for example, then I really have to make sure that I'm being kind about it. Another of my values is joy. I was very happy last week. I was in a meeting and somebody was like, "You always bring so much joy." I was like, "Oh, I thought I was grumpy most days." But I think we spend so much time at work that we want to be happy. So as a leader, I think you need to create the environment for your people to be thriving and not to show up to work stressed and worried about who will get yelled at by you and why they'll get yelled at. Everybody's going through something, whether good or bad, outside of your office environment. So please make their lives within that environment as best as you can. The last one, and this is where I spend a lot of time thinking, is striking that balance between confidence and humility. Because a lot of us think confidence cannot coexist with humility. We translate confidence into arrogance, and that makes it difficult to be relatable to the team. And we also then mistake humility for being very meek and a doormat. I've seen this. I'm Zambian. We take very great pride in this humility that is not humility, but it's actually you being a doormat and letting people walk all over you, and you think that's humility. No. As a leader, you have to find this balance between humility and confidence. You can be both. I think I'm both. But yes, you have to be able to find that, because depending on how you define humility, it can actually hold you back from showing your full potential. I know people who are like, "Oh, my work will speak for itself." Friend, let me tell you, been there, done that. Your work will speak for itself, but nobody will acknowledge it. So if you need to put yourself out there and say, "This is me and I'm taking credit for it," you're still being humble. That is not arrogance. That is confidence in your abilities. So yeah, I think after all that rambling, the bottom line for me to the question of how can you be relatable but not too familiar as a leader or as a boss or as a manager, whatever, I don't think it was specified. As a leader, yes. As a leader is finding the balance finding the right balance of humility and confidence within yourself. I hope that was helpful. I am in a hotel room. My hotel room has a naked guy diving into my bed. Don't ask me why. Whoever did this decor thought that was a good idea. So that's it for me today. Greetings from a very lovely Amsterdam. The weather's been amazing. It's been great speaking with you. I hope to see you soon.